All right, starting off from France. France is on the edge. The opposition parties are calling for Macron's impeachment. Europe's third largest economy is facing a fresh political crisis. The minority government headed by Prime Minister Bayrou has sought confidence vote. A political storm triggered by proposed budget cuts could script the fall of yet another government in France. More in our next report.
From the war in Ukraine to Israel's war in Gaza, French President Macron remains an active player in world politics. But underneath the glitters of foreign policy, a crisis is lurking on the home front. The politics and economy of France are at the crossroads. The anticipation of political and economic implosion has griped the country. France has slipped into a political crisis after Macron's snap election gamble. 1 year and 3 prime ministers later, the standstill continues. The minority government headed by Prime Minister François Bayrou is effectively paralyzed. France is on notice. It must drag the budget deficit below 3% that now stands at sprawling 5.8%. To cut this down, government has proposed €44 billion budget cut plan. This includes reducing the number of public holidays and placing a freeze on spending increases. Opposition refuses to back this plan, leaving Bayrou in a political quicksand, and to come out, he is betting on confidence vote in Parliament.
And there is a place for this clarification in an institution, that is Parliament, in an ordered debate, followed by a vote and not in the disorder of street confrontations and insults. I asked the President of the Republic, who agreed, to convene Parliament in an extraordinary session on Monday, September 8th.
The odds are staked against French PM. Opposition is in a combative mood. 3 major parties say they will vote Bayrou out. Leader of France's biggest opposition party has asked Macron to resign.
Emmanuel Macron must acknowledge the institutional deadlock he himself has created and either dissolve the National Assembly or, of course, resign so that a new presidential election can allow the French people to choose a new direction for the country.
Bayrou lacks the numbers in National Assembly. His government is already functioning in minority. He is likely to take the fall on September 8th. Opposition parties are in no mood to walk out to keep Bayrou in. Now the choice is between economic fallout and political survival. France's debt pile eclipses the size of its economy. According to IMF estimates, it could go up to 116% of GDP this year.
France is a solid country with economic solidity, with significant financial possibilities, of course. But that we must take the reins of our destiny, that we are now doing it in principle and during discussions on the budget, I think it's a strong signal that we are sending to the financial markets that we want to have a France that is even more solid.
The shocker came from reports where the French finance minister said that the country may need an IMF bailout, but he was quick to clarify that this is not true and the nation needs no bailout. The government falls if the budget falls. Macron faces a tough choice: to form a new government or call snap elections. President himself is safe until 2027 presidential race. But for how long he will be able to weather this increasing public pressure and policy paralysis remains to be seen. Bureau Report, WION The World is one.
And joining us on the broadcast now is our correspondent, Ross Cullen. He's joining us live from Paris. Hi, Ross. First up, of course, get us the latest on the political turmoil that we're seeing in France right now.
Well, at the moment, the French Prime Minister is trying to gather as much support as he can to try to rally people around him for that vote on September the 8th, that vote of confidence which he is likely to lose, the vote of confidence that he's called in himself and in his government, daring lawmakers to vote against him. And they've all lined up to say that they will do exactly that. They are ready to oust the government again just as they did in December 2024, when the opposition far left and far right managed to come together, set aside their differences to bring down Michel Barnier, the former Prime Minister, over his budget plans, and now they are likely to do the same to Francois Bayrou over his planned contentious budget. He wants to freeze some public payments, scrap to public holidays are some of the ideas. He says that France is addicted to over-indebtedness, saying that there needs to be a serious conversation about how to get a grip on France's finances, but because he leads a minority government, there's always the possibility that the opposition can vote down any of his plans. The most important plan, the pressing plan, is the 2026 budget. That is going to be put on hold if he loses this no confidence vote, because he will have to resign, hand his letter of resignation to the president, who has 4 options. He can refuse to accept Francois Bayrou's resignation and ask him to continue on with the job. He can appoint a new Prime Minister. Emmanuel Macron can also call snap elections. He says that he reserves the right to do that, but that seems to be less likely, low down on his list at the moment. And finally, fourth and most distant possibility, he could resign. That's what the opposition far left France Unbowed party would like him to do, but Emmanuel Macron says he's been elected until spring 2027 and he is intending to serve all of his mandate.
Right, Ross, of course, that was the lowdown of the political crisis there in France. Talking about the economic turmoil there, the French finance minister said that France may need IMF intervention, but then later denied. Tell us about the backtracking and what can be the economic fallout if the budget proposal does not get through.
Well, there's certainly been an impact on the markets. Monday and Tuesday we saw more than 3% wiped off the French stock market in 2 days because of this shock announcement by the Prime Minister. Technically, France's MPs are still on their summer holidays, and so this was a real, one analyst called it an electro-shock moment from Francois Bayrou to try to seize the initiative again, but France's investors took fright, and we saw falls particularly in the big banks, so BNP Paribas, Société Générale and Crédit Agricole suffered major losses as well. France's government is trying to push through $50 billion worth of budget savings to get a grip on the ballooning debt, to try to bring down the deficit as well, to try to get France's finances back on track so they avoid any downgrading by any of the ratings agencies as well. It is not in the major conversation that France might be requiring a sudden IMF bailout, but those suggestions don't always make it through to the mainstream reporting on this. So in terms of an IMF bailout being something that France needs, that is not in the main discussion at the moment. It's not something that President Macron has suggested. It's not something that Francois Bayrou would be considering. But certainly France is in a moment of political turmoil and economic turmoil as well.
Right, thanks so much, Ross, for joining us, Race to Power, and getting us the latest from Paris.